Hello, I'm Fernando Velasco, Director of Player Engagement for the Atlanta Falcons. This is the NFL Players Second Act Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Peanut Tillman, and this is the NFL Players Second Acts Podcast. And with me, as always, my trusty sidekick, Roman, I'm Old Harper. That's all he got. So that was pretty lame today. But let me tell you what's not lame is this studio that we're in right here at the iHeartRadio studio, right here in Atlanta, Midtown. It's pretty popping over here. I love the setup, and I love and very appreciative to what they've done for us today. Peanut, who is our next guest? We got a goodie. He's our former teammate. You know, was with him in Carolina, Super Bowl 50. 8-year NFL vet. Played for the Panthers 2 times, the Steelers, and the Titans. Right now, he is the Atlanta Falcons Director Player of Engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the pod, Fernando Velasco!
Yeah! Let's go. Man, thank y'all for having me, man.
Appreciate you being on the pod,
I feel
man.
honored, you know, just to be in front of 2 legends, man.
Man, you blessing us.
I really always appreciate y'all and just commend y'all, just being teammates, being in the locker room with you guys. Had a lot of respect for you, just the way y'all went about y'all business, man.
Well, I'll just get this out the way. So his name is Fernando, but I'm going to call him Nando a lot.
That's right.
That is, he understands. That was his government name. If I'd have just said Nando, my producer would have been like, really, we don't know him as that. Like, so, you will pronounce his name with every syllable.
Yeah, because they already look at it funny, like, okay, what is this black dude, Fernando, where does his name come from, all that anyway. So
I found that out as we did more research.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm cool with that. Like, I didn't know, but now I know.
My man.
And so I want to talk to you about, look, man, number one, I became a teammate of yours first. And so just building that relationship, I appreciate you. All the, you know, it was the funny thing is a lot of these talks and relationships in NFL locker rooms really start at the college level. And so him being a Georgia guy, me being an Alabama guy, me coming into this locker room full of Thomas Davis, Charles Johnson, and Nando right here. This is where, like,
Georgia boys,
the trash talking started. And so I just want to say it's good to see you on the other side from what you've done to Georgia and now staying in state right here with the Atlanta Falcons. It's really cool to see you continue to advance.
I appreciate that. Respect, brother. Brother.
No doubt.
I don't think I had that same privilege as y'all with meeting and knowing other players in college. Maybe because I went to Louisiana, I went to a small school, and we just, like, didn't win any games. So my head was always, like, in the dirt and the sand because SEC football is a little different than Sun Belt football. I'm going to just keep it real. Like,
you know what?
It is.
I want to know this, though, because I don't really bring myself up a lot, but I was on the enemy team, and then I came into this Panthers locker room. I remember Ryan Khalil telling me, he's like, dude, I hated you for years. And you're actually a nice guy, Roman. And so I don't know what your opinion or what you thought of me, Nando. Like, what was that when I came into the locker room? Was it a little bit of agitation? What was that?
You know what? To be honest, I was excited, you know, because I've always gravitated towards older guys and, you know, hanging with uncles and just kind of grandparents around. So, you know, obviously when you see the hair and the gray, I'm like, man, this guy's full of wisdom. So, you know, you finna get that perspective. So I was excited to, you know, be your teammate and just knowing. And it came true, you know, because the wisdom, the knowledge that you would always share and just throw around gems around the locker room, it was always appreciated.
And the funny thing was probably you was older than him and didn't even know it. It's like, oh, we got this old guy coming in. He going to teach us the wisdom. Wait, I'm older than him. What? The old Benjamin Button. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
Right. What was your favorite memory of that 2015 season?
Really good question, man. You know, that was a special year. It was a really special year. And I got there, I was there previously, 2014. You know, I started 7 games and, you know, during free agency, I ended up signing with the Tennessee Titans, who I was previously with the first 5 years of my career, and got released during training camp. And, you know, at that time, I kind of had fell out of love with the game. Yeah. And, you know, wasn't really sure if I wanted to continue to play. And I got a call from the Panthers and, you know, had a lot of friends on that team the year previously, you know, Charles Johnson, Thomas Davis, guy I played college ball with. And just going back into the locker room, you know, it brought another excitement. because the team was full of energy. I had never been around a team that could be playful, excited, cut up off the field, but when it got on the field, it was serious ball. So best being in that locker room, being around the guys that really cared about the game, and to go on a special run to start 14-0, it was an unbelievable feeling to make it to the Super Bowl, even though we didn't finish the way we wanted to finish, but it was a special year.
I feel like I would echo that, yeah. I think that 2015 season or team, I think it saved me. It made me, the last 2013, 2014, I fell out of love with football. And I love the NFL. I love the game. I love playing. I love the team camaraderie and all that. But for those 2 years, I hated football. Absolutely hated football. And then obviously 2015 Super Bowl, we went on and had great success. I know for you, after that season, you signed with the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Now, did you think the Super Bowl would have been your last game? Because I don't think you played in the 2016 season, if I'm correct.
No, I played. I think I started only one game that year.
Okay.
But just kind of backing up Ryan Khalil and the inside guy on the offensive line, played on field goal team, special teams, but not a lot of meaningful snaps. So yeah, I did go into that Super Bowl thinking, okay, this could be it. This could be it for me. Even so much so, I actually tell people I paid to play in the Super Bowl because I flew 15 of my family members out, put them up, got a chance to, allow them to experience that because I thought it was going to be it. But thank God I ended up, extending that and signing with the Bills afterwards.
No doubt, because you got to pay for all that junk. People don't know
that.
Super Bowl
They do
cost
not
you, boy.
know.
You come out there owing $200 out of a Super Bowl.
It's worth it
And
when
that's
you
what they
win.
did.
Hey, it's worth it when you win. Now, unlike y'all, I got a box. I got a box.
you had a box?
I had a
Wow.
box of
Oh,
Super
you
Bowl.
tripping.
I went all
out.
in.
You went
Yes.
all in.
I went all in Super Bowl. Me and
So you
Jared
thought
Allen.
it was it too?
I thought it was it. I told my ACL, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna win the Super Bowl. If I spend X amount of thousands of dollars on a box, who cares? It's worth it. Beyonce performing at halftime, I'm all in, boss. It's gonna be worth it if I get this ring. Put a ring on it.
I'll never forget, they called me. I'm looking at the phone, okay, Carolina Panthers. Okay, they may be calling me to say they want to re-sign me. I'm like, hey, you actually owe us $1,000, because your check didn't cover, your expenses. So
Oh damn.
it's cool deal.
Yeah, they hollered at
I
me
didn't
too.
know
I
that.
owed him a couple $100. It was very mad. I was mad about the whole deal. So, another thing I will piggyback on though, and I would thank both of you guys as well because that 2015 season helped me out a lot too. I was very angry in 2014. I'd signed with the Carolina Panthers. We went 2 straight months without winning a game. I was extremely frustrated, to say the least. And to be able to back that up with the following season that we had, it was absolutely amazing. So everybody that was in that locker room, I think we all uplifted each other. And I think at the end of the day, we can all look back and say we all felt a little bit better about life and what football did to us after that.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, that's what it is about. But to then keep it going forward, but looking back a little bit, when you were with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I do believe you had lost a friend. And I was looking up your story, and a guy named Ray Jackson, who was the player of engagement or player development guy at the time, was him pouring into you at that moment. Was that what kind of maybe planted that seed of what you're doing right now? Or what was his influence on you? I've heard you mention his name multiple times.
Absolutely. Growing up, I thought I wanted to be a high school football coach. That was, my 2 high school football coaches had a lot of influence in me growing up. My dad was incarcerated. And so I got to college and I majored in health and PE. And the goal was to be the high school PE teacher and football coach. But the more exposure I got, I kind of leaned from that. But it was in that moment, 2013, was a really hard year for me. It was a really tough year. I got there, started 11 games, and I tore my Achilles. And I lost one of my best friends who had just played 5 years in the NFL, one of my college teammates. We came into college together by the name of Paul Oliver. He committed suicide.
He did commit suicide. I know Paul from New Orleans for a year.
Yes, correct. Committed suicide. And it was a terrible, terrible time, a dark place in my life. Back in 2013, I didn't know the word then, but it was my first time falling into depression. Thinking about at that time, okay, is football going to be taken from me? Is it going to be over? Where do I go after this injury? I was in a contract year, only signed a 1-year deal. I was playing well, was talking to my agent, thinking that we may sign a multi-year contract afterwards. And, fell in that depression, so I coped with the way I knew how to cope, and that was drinking a bottle of Hennessy every day and taking the pain meds that they was giving me. But Ray Jackson, who's now the VP of Player Engagement with the Denver Broncos, he put his arm around me. He loved on me. He told me that I was bigger than football and that, he just walked down the hill with me called life, man. And I really knew in that moment that God was calling me, hey, whenever your football playing days are over, this is the role I want you to step into. And fortunately, when I was finished playing, called Jonas Jennings at Georgia and Kirby Smart, and they hired me there to be on the player development team.
Now, was that that wasn't your first year in retirement, was it?
Yes.
So that was your first year?
Yeah, right after I finished playing, I signed with the Bills. I got hurt there, I had a pinched nerve in my neck, and I have numbness down my right arm. So I kind of knew ball was definitely over there, just from a fear standpoint. The doctors really didn't clear me after that point. And so, that following June is when Kirby hired me on at Georgia. So I stayed there for 3.5 years.
Now, what were some of the challenges that you had going into that first year with the new job?
Well, the first challenge, you coming out of the league, making, a lot of money, and, a lot of people don't realize it, but you got to start from the bottom.
Yeah.
I just couldn't go in there, hey, I'm thinking I can go in there, I'm going to make 6 figures. But no, Kirby said, he called me, I'm excited. Kirby Smart on my phone, hey, I got his job for you, but I'm going to pay you $40,000. And at that time, you were used to making, $40,000 a week or whatever. And so that was very humbling, with a wife and a kid, to provide for them, take care of them. But it all worked out. And now, we're blessed to be in a position to pour back into the guys I serve.
Yeah. Was there a reason you decided to go the college route versus the NFL route?
Well, I'm a Georgia guy. You cut me, it's going to be red and black all the way through and through. I remember even my senior year in college, we beat Alabama in overtime. I know Roman like that. But no, I always loved the university, and I felt like I was so indebted to the university. Yeah. And I just wanted to start there. And I really could have finished there. I love the university, everything that it had done for a little 18-year-old snot-nosed kid coming to the University of Georgia. So I wanted to really pull back into those guys, and I wanted to be up under the tutelage of Jonas Jennings, who was a guy that played in the league for almost 10 years himself, just his knowledge and kind of what he had done for me in my life. I know he was a good leader to work up under.
Yeah, so I was fairly lucky. I didn't have a person like that in college, like we have in the league. And so when I finally got in the league, Dwayne Joseph, he was my player engagement or player development guy at the time. And he really poured into me. I mean, I've learned so many lessons from this man. And listening to him, he was like the big brother that I needed to kind of help guide me and put me on that path to success while being in the league, And you always hear people talk about, you gotta, treat it like a business, be a pro. And I don't think I necessarily knew how to do that until talking to DJ. He was just an awesome person, a great guide for me. Can you share 2 things? Can you share what a player engagement person does, and the role between player engagement and player development, like why they changed that title?
Well, first of all, I look at the role as a role of service. Yeah. We're there to serve. When you talk about 69 guys in the locker room, 53 plus the 16 on practice squad, and then you have your IR guys that's tacked on it too. You're there to serve. So it looks different for every person. What Roman's needs is going to be different from what Peanut needs. So meeting that person where they are and being there. But it's a holistic deal. The coaches do a great job of coaching them on the field. So you want to coach them and help them everything off the field in life. The NFL, they have 4 pillars, that comes along with player engagement. Number 1 is continuing education, helping guys want to go back to school, whether that's finishing their undergrad or getting some type of post-secondary degree. Personal and professional development, helping guys from a holistic stuff. Hey, what is their second act? What are they going to do when they're done playing, and how can we build upon that now while we in? So the NFL and the NFLP have unbelievable resources in all season to offer to guys, and I want it to really be that person that I needed when I was younger. Because I really didn't do a good job of that, taking advantage of those resources. So I wanted to practice what I preach, number one. So the continuing education piece, I went back and got my master's. I'm thinking about, I just got accepted into a doctoral program, and that's helped through the trust, powered by the NFLPA, helping, a lot of guys, former guys, they know they get $20,000 per year to continue their education.
I took advantage of it. I got my master's degree. Yeah. I got postgrad. Yeah.
And the last piece, the last pillar is financial literacy. So creating programmings and having different speakers come in to just talk about the financial literacy piece, because we know that's a big piece. No matter how much money you make or how much money you don't make, that financial literacy part is something that'll carry you on for the rest of your life.
I've been trying to get Rome to go back. I'm thinking about getting an MBA, and I've been trying to get Rome to. We can go back and get his. Let's do it. Let's get this MBA.
You should do it, man.
Yeah. So Nando,
hold on, no. Don't skip over that. Don't skip over that. Get that MBA, baby.
Well, I'm not. Nobody's ever asked me my GPA or anything in like years. I'm fine. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But that's the thing about it. The continuing education piece is not necessarily school. Right? Hey, we can be you got guys going to get CDLs or a real estate license. It's just being a lifelong learner.
Tattoo classes.
And just, continue to learn, continue to build upon, successes that you have.
I'm going to look into it. I'll leave it at that. Can we put a button in that? Can we put a button? Yeah. Okay, good. Nando, I do want to know this, though. When you go from Georgia to now with the Falcons, do you feel like you are ready for the responsibility of going from, I'm talking to college guys and none of these guys are in the NFL and, they're going to look at me a different way because I'm older, I'm more mature, I've been where they want to be at, versus now I'm in the NFL and now everybody's judging me on like, your real true merit. Like you in the building, you got to be legit.
Well, I think, God uniquely qualifies everybody for the role, right? So I think about all my life experiences, things I had to go through, adversities I had to overcome, and just things that you had to just persevere through, and challenges that you had to go through. You talk about that 2013 year, and you able to meet every guy where they are and build upon your own experiences. And you don't have all the answers, but the thing I love about it, I learned just as much from them as they learned from me. So I'm able to go to them and ask them, hey, what do you need? What are your challenges? What are you struggling with? And to help find the resources, to help get to the bottom of the problem.
One thing I read about you, and I think you said this in a TED Talk, was that football is what this was in an interview when you just got the job with Atlanta. And it said football is what these guys do. But what a lot of people forget is football is not who they are. They are real people. And so when you're able to meet real people where they are, you get a lot more out of them. And I think that's the thing, that the piece that so many people forget about when you get these type of jobs or you get around these successful people, you forget they're actually just real people.
I know. I mean, that's why it's so important. It's not like NBA where you don't have a helmet on. In NFL, you have a helmet on, but when you take that helmet off, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
You're talking about your story being at Louisiana Lafayette, and just, your story being in Alabama, and just kind of what got you to that point, your childhood, your parents, your community, everybody that built you up to that point. And you want to hear that. You want to get attached to that person. And I think that's why this NFL is so transactional from a, roster management space. But when you get to know the person and really dive into their story and how you can help them build upon that story and even help them tell that story, it really is amazing.
Yeah. So the owner of the Falcons, Arthur Blank, he wrote a book called Good Company. And in the book, he talks about being a servant leader and the leadership and how it helped him build Home Depot, and is basically what Home Depot is, what you see today. What does being a servant leader mean to you?
Good question. Servant leader to me is living what you preach. Being that person, you don't want to you don't want to be seen to just do something, but you really want to live that model that you are talking about on a consistent basis, and just serving. I think it really serving people, no matter what they look like, no matter what their economic background may be, no matter where they come from, but just serving that person and help them build upon their goals and their dreams.
Yeah.
All right. So do you think your path of being an undrafted, sustaining 8-year career guy in the NFL gives you more cachet with players rather than if you were like a superstar player that everybody knew and you were kind of looking down upon those guys that maybe haven't been cut or released before? And so your past kind of setting you up for success, honestly. And I say that because I also heard in another interview that you did, and part of my research, because I had to get to know you just a little bit more.
I see you.
You said empathy for players and guys, and like because you've been cut, you've been through that, you know what that feeling is like to be released multiple times, and having to speak to those guys, even from somebody that's being cut, somebody just being cut back, coming back, the 52nd guy on the roster, all the way up to the top 8 guy on the roster. And so you never forgot that feeling of when you got released.
Yeah, I mean, I think I started just saying that everyone has their own unique flavor. Everyone has their own unique style, how they go about it. You know, I look at a guy that's in his role, David Thornton. I love his personality of what he do with the Colts. You know, even Ray Jackson, you know, somebody who was helped me tremendously in my life. When I first got into the league, I had a female by the name of Tina Tuggle, but she helped pour into me. So I don't think it's necessarily that you had to play the game or you had to go through that struggle. But I think guys, you know, game recognize game.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
guys see, they know what it takes to be an undrafted free agent in this league, to be on practice squad for 1.5 years, 2 years, you know, to become a starter in this league. They know the grind that it takes, the consistency that it takes to be in this league for 8-9 years. So they definitely respect that, you know. But after that, it's still, hey, how did this person move on a consistent daily basis?
Yeah.
Do they show up for me? Do they answer the call when I call them? Do they text me back when I text them? Do they help me when I'm in need? Do they help me find the resource that I need? So I think it's more of how do you serve that individual person?
Yeah. So Atlanta had a busy offseason this year. Kirk Cousins, you know, you bring him in the offseason, gave him a boatload
Come in
of
your
cash.
trap and take over your trap.
Yeah. Got a boatload of cash. Then y'all had a nice draft. You know, you take Michael Penix in the first round, 8th overall. How has your role as player engagement director come into play with like those two high named quarterbacks?
That's why I love my role, you know, because I have to treat the number 1 guy on the roster the same I have to treat the number 69 guy on the roster.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a one-size-fit-all model. And you really have to be available for every guy. So whether that's Kirk or Michael or our long snapper, Lamb McCullum, you know, whomever it is, you know, treating everybody with respect, you know, showing up for that person, you know, no matter what their needs are, and treating them like they are the number 1 person, you know, because, you know, Mike Tomlin used to say all the time, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
So if I'm having a conversation with that person, they're the most important person in the room, no matter what their status is on the roster.
So here's something I want to ask you. I think throughout this podcast we've had, you know, this is what our third year.
Congratulations to y'all, man.
Oh,
Good job, man.
appreciate it.
A lot of respect, man. Yeah. Clap it up.
Well, it ain't just us. We got a
team.
Crew.
It's a team.
We got a mobile team.
It's a team. We definitely got a team. Everyone struggles with the transition of how we go through it, what we go through. You know, I did a couple things. I struggled in some areas. You might have struggled in some other areas. I want to talk about mental health and the importance of taking care of yourself. You know, what made you at one point just say, you know what, I think I might need to talk to somebody. I need someone to help me try to figure this thing out that I'm wrestling with upside in my head. Like, what made you want to do that?
You know, really just having those feelings that you really can't explain. You know, playing this game, being a barbarian sport, you know, you always talk to be tough.
Yeah.
You know, to be a man. You know, men don't cry, holding those emotions inside. And for me, you know, I remember after I left Georgia, I went to the University of Arkansas with Coach Sam Pittman up there. And, you know, I had one of my coaching buddies, you know, he was angry. He was angry. And we used to go on walks every single day. And over the course of those walks, I see him kind of joyful up and kind of having a different aura about himself. And I asked him, hey man, what are you what are you doing differently? Like, what has changed in your life? And he said, I started going to therapy. And I said, wow, this is a guy that I looked up to. He's a man's man, and he's a black man. And I didn't see any black men, or didn't know any black man that was going to therapy. And so I said, okay, I know I have built up anger in me. I know I have feelings that I really can't explain. This therapy thing, I've heard about it before. I knew I had went in that depression back in 2013. And I said, and I was kind of advised to go to therapy then, but I never did it after losing my friend and, having my season-ended Achilles injury, but I never did it, But in 2020 is when I really was open to it and tried it. And I tell people all the time, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life, and now I still go to therapy. And it's awesome. I tap in with my guy a couple times a month, because especially with the job I do now, you have people just putting their problems or their challenges on you, being a husband, being a father, just being the man that I am, I need my own release, so I look at it as my own self-care.
Yeah.
And from a mental health standpoint, I think a lot of people kind of get that confused sometimes. Okay, what is mental health versus mental wellness? For me, mental health, everyone deals with mental health, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, how much money you have. Mental health impacts everyone. It impacts how you spend your money, how you spend your time, everything that you do. But the mental wellness are the tools and resources that you put around you to build up your mental health. And mental illness is when you do put a title on it, a bipolar, depression, or anxiety. So just kind of understanding that from a holistic standpoint, it's been key. And I'm shout out to the NFL and NFLPA, just all the resources that they have. You have 8 free sessions that you can tap into per year, per topic. So I think, more guys that really have to take care of themselves, because as players, especially guys that's in it, and when you're done, you take care of so many people, but what does that look like, taking care of yourself?
Do you still think there's the stigma of I'm weak if I go to a counselor or if I go see, a therapist? Do you still think that's a thing in the league where a lot of players still feel that way?
It's getting better. It's getting better. And I can speak, now on this side of it, with the Falcons, we have 2 team clinicians, that's around the building, that's always available. And that's just kind of embedded into the culture and into the organization. So it's definitely more open, and guys feel free to go and talk to those people. And even if it's someone not in the organization, I try to lead people all the time to, talk to someone, whether they're in the organization or not. I think everybody need to be in therapy. Yeah. Because I look at therapy as like a no judgment venting session.
No doubt.
Just to go in and just talk about what's on your heart, what's on your mind, learn tools, learn resources to help you. Because if you can take care of you, now you can better serve everyone that you interact with and everyone that you serve.
Because I think we all grew up with the same, hearing it the same. I never saw people go to therapy, and then especially being a black man, because 60-70% of what the league is black, right?
Correct.
And how important is it for them to really get that message? Like, yo, we need to, because that's the stigma, right? Black man, we don't do therapy. Like, that's.
Look, I know one of the best things I loved about a locker room was that I could always go in there and talk about whatever the problems I had, and I wasn't the only one.
Oh, correct. For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
No one walks around with a sticky note on their head about what they're going through, right?
Yeah, no.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, the more I shared, and sometimes the more vulnerable I was, the more empowering it was for others to be like, you know what, I have something like that
going through the same thing.
And so, those are the things that I learned. And so, when I've done therapy, I did relationship counseling and therapy in that way. It was great because the one thing that I loved about relationship counseling is that no matter the stresses, the highs, the lows, is that most times when you're in front of a third party, everybody's on their best behavior. Nobody has gloves on. So everybody takes the gloves off and we just get to be honest.
Yeah.
And we can get a little bit personal, but nobody's attacking each other because nobody wants to come off as a crazy one in front of the third party. Like, I'm not crazy. That's the crazy one.
Why are you pointing?
Well, it is kind of like that. This is my work wife.
I'm not crazy.
So this is what happens between us. It's like, I'm not crazy. I'm like, yes, he is. Look at him. And so I really enjoy being able to talk to other people and being able to share my emotions. And the thing that I've learned since doing this podcast more than anything else is that vulnerability equals strength.
Yeah.
And when guys
100%.
get up here and share their stories, and they're able to tell the things that they've gone through, the trials and tribulations, how much it really, like, first of all, allows them to be more free. And then a lot of times me and Peanut end up agreeing on a lot of it, like, we know of this example, we talked to this person, or we've done this, and it's like, you're not the only one.
Correct.
And then that's only more empowering to do it again. So that's what's really come out of you as well. And I'd like to know one thing, and maybe this is personal, but why were you such an angry person, Fernando? And I know this answer, but I want you to share it.
Well, a really good question, because for a long time I fought that question. But my dad, and going back to the name, Fernando Velasco, my dad is actually from Colombia, South America.
Bingo.
There we go, right? You know, and he immigrated into this country on a banana boat when he was 14 years old. And him and my mom met up in New York. They was both working at this big luxurious hotel called the Browns Hotel. He was a busboy server, and my mom was a maid. She taught him how to speak English. They fell in love and got married. Voila, right? You know, but
you're a big old Fernando.
You know, I am. Been a big old Fernando for a long time. But in his culture, you know, you had drugs, money, and violence. And to provide for his family, he thought the only way that he could do that was selling drugs. So my father actually ended up being a drug kingpin. At one time, he said he was making over $100,000 a week in the 80s. But the problem was he got addicted to the same poison that he was pushing. And so did my mother under his violent pressure. He actually put a gun to her head and made her do the cocaine with him. And, you know, one time he beat her so bad that when he dropped her off at the hospital and threw her to the curb, her family came to visit her and she was unrecognizable. And during this time, the doctors actually found out she was pregnant with her second child. And they told her, hey, under no circumstances should you have this baby. But against medical advice, she delivered me in 1985. And, you know, so the feds actually ended up catching him. They caught him with 100 kilos of cocaine, and he was in prison for over 11 years. And I remember vividly just going to visit him in those prisons and just having so much rage and so much anger. And even in school, you know, I would try to be the class clown. I would try to do certain things. I even started drinking and smoking at the age of 13 to just cope with him not being there. And so I built that, I had that anger in me for a long time. And, you know, football was a release, but it's still not the ultimate release.
Right.
So a lot of that came from just my father not being around, because I seen a lot of my friends, you know, they had their father out there throwing the football with them. I still can't throw a football because I didn't have nobody throwing the football with me.
That's amazing.
You know, but it stemmed a lot from that, you know, but fortunately and thank God, you know, we was able to go through a forgiveness journey, but it actually started after I went to therapy. Is when I truly, truly forgave my father.
Yeah.
He lives in Sweden now. He's deported. He can't come to the States. But, you know.
He ain't missing nothing.
You know, but I've actually been over there a few times.
Yeah.
And, you know, I played in London when I was in 2013 when I was with the Steelers. So he got a chance to see me play for the first time.
Awesome.
And last
That's
year
dope.
with the Falcons, we actually played a game in London. So he was able to come and see me, you know, being on this side of things now. So, you know, we have a good relationship now, but a lot of that stemmed from just him not being around.
And this is something recently built for you. You said you were angry, you were 35 years old.
Absolutely, man.
And this was
a
very recent thing. So, like, this can happen later on in life, and this is good.
It's never too late. It's
Yeah.
never too late. You know, and it actually helped me be a better father to my son, you know, because I always knew it was something missing there, you know, with my son. Like, okay, how can I question myself, could I truly be a great dad to my son if I didn't have that relationship with my father? But, you know, now we have a great relationship, and I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah. Now, this is completely switch up lanes, but I think this is such an interesting and on-topic subject, and nobody can know it more closely than you or intimately than you. I want you to talk about dealing with young rookie players now, because the old question was going to be, how's this player going to act once he gets money in the league? players get money now in college, so you know that that box is checked.
They're already
Correct.
millionaires.
How is it handling young rookies coming into the league now versus what we probably were when we were coming into the league?
Good question. I think, you know, people have to understand, like, the scouts and the scouting department, the personnel departments, they do a ton of background on all the rookies that's coming into the league, even dating back to Pee Wee football, high school football, and especially college. So, you know, over the course of these last 4 years since NIL has been in effect, they've been able to study these guys. Okay, this is how this guy act when he getting $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 per month, you know, before he get into the league making that money. So what tools, what resources do we need to put in place to make sure that he can have a successful career? You know, or is this guy even worth it? You know, because he is doing extraordinary things in a negative light right now. And so, you know, he's not even worth bringing into the building. So you understand the product that you are getting, you know, before they are into the building.
So I think that I don't think anybody's ever talking about that angle right now. It's like, no, actually people are knowing who these guys are way more. Where it used to be like, man, when you give somebody money, like, dude, I didn't even know he was going to act like that.
Yeah, now you know. So shame on you. You know what you're getting and you still drafted him, you know what I mean? So, you know, but shout out to the colleges, you know, because I've talked to colleges all the time now, and they're bringing in and having so many financial literacy programs,
I was going to ask you about that.
You know, to help guys understand, you know, this is how you act with money. This is how you budget, save. You know, they even starting investing now, because the flip side of that, you get guys that do come in and they're understanding, hey, I want this money to last forever.
Yeah.
You know, I have second and third year guys that say, you know what, I still have my NIL money from when I was in college. You know, so it's some success stories there as well. You know, it's not all bad. You know, obviously the media can flip it to say, hey, every guy's spending all this money or doing all these dumb things, but a lot of guys are using it the right way. You know, being able to take care of their parents earlier, just being able to help their community. You know, you're seeing a lot of more give back stuff, you know, on the college level. So it's amazing to see guys use that money in the right way.
You think you would have had a lot of NIL money?
Who, man?
Yeah.
I did go to Alabama, right?
I'm just saying.
NIL before NIL?
Basically, that's what he just said. He just told himself. All those games, forfeited. NCAA, forfeit him. Roman Harper, Charlotte, that's where he lives. Get him right now.
Well, Nando, we always like to ask this question to all of our guests, and that is Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
If, you know, you get 4, if you had a Mount Rushmore of influence in your life who've helped you become Fernando Velasquez, who would those 4 be?
You know, number one, I'm gonna start with my mother.
Yeah.
You know, she could have listened to the doctors, and not delivered me, and I wouldn't be sitting here in front of y'all today.
True statement.
But she's my hero. You know, I thank God that after that situation, she was able to get herself together, get clean. You know, she now lives in Atlanta, so I get to see her often. She gets to be around my son, and
nice.
You know, I just love her so much for just, you know, even while she got herself together, she moved my brother and I to be with our grandparents, so they would be the other 2. So her along with my grandparents, and they took us in, they raised us. You know, they started us, you know, our foundation in our faith and the church, and just taught us how to treat people. And after they passed away, the 4th person would be my aunt. She kind of took over that realm, my Aunt Della Mae. So it'll be those 4, you know, my mom, 2 grandparents, and my aunt.
It's a solid group of 4. I like it.
I love it, man. Well,
appreciate you.
Go Dogs, my boy.
Hey,
you know I didn't mean it.
I know you
Y'all
did.
just got to be the quarterback.
You almost got me to say Roll Tide, but it just ain't in my heart, you know.
I get it. We beat y'all. So
before you say anything right now, I just want to throw this on camera. Like, Rome has come to me plenty of times and has been extremely vulnerable, and he just like pours into me and just talks about how sad he is, that how great he is. Like, he really does hate it. he has called me late night sometimes like, Peanut, I just can't take it no more, man. I can't stand this gray hair. I just wanted to throw that out there. He really don't like the gray hair. He act like he like it, but he really don't like it. Now close this out.
We just gonna end on a laugh. That's all good. Well, look, wherever you listen to your podcast, first of all, Fernando, thank you, brother, for stopping by, pouring into us, and even sharing your last story and talking about
that was deep.
The vulnerability and going to talk to somebody. And I think more and more people need to hear that, especially people that look like us. And it's okay. That's all we're saying. Everybody, right. It's okay. And so once you know that it's okay, I think we can take that step. So thank you for that and making sure you're sharing that story.
Man, I appreciate it. And I just love what you guys are doing. I love even the name, Second Act. We talk about having their helmet on and playing football for so long, but every player will one day be a former player.
Yeah.
And what does that second act look like? So you have an amazing guest. So shout out to you and your team just for, bringing stories to life, and I think that's one thing that I even try to pour into my guys now. Okay, what can you do now to make sure that your second act is successful? What resources can you put around you? What professional development things can you attend now? Going to get that MBA right now. What can you do to help with your second act? So shout out to what y'all doing, man. A lot of respect.
I came up with the name. I'm just going to throw that out
Y'all
there.
better come to my commencement, boy, if I ever go get that MBA. Y'all said it ever put all that pressure on
We
me.
going to do it together. I'm going to be there with you. We going to graduate at the same time. University of Louisiana at Lafayette. You will be a raging Cajun.
I'm fine. All right.
Georgia has an online program.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll
online
be a
MBA
Georgia
program.
Bulldog. I'll do it.
Hey, I got a connect for you if you want it. Let's do it.
I'll do it. Let's go.
All right, we're going to put a pin in this like we said before. Thank you guys, though. I appreciate it. All of our listeners and viewers out there, wherever you pick up your podcast at, whether it's iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for always give us a like, a review, a follow. Leave a couple comments. Talk about this. I think this is a really deep one, right?
Very
here.
important.
5-star ratings. Give us a review. And this is Peanut Tillman. I'm Roman Harper.
Wait. NFL YouTube channel. Make sure you check us out on NFL YouTube. You don't got to just listen to us. You can actually watch us.
Okay.
That's the key. NFL YouTube channel, baby. Come check us out.
Yeah.
I'm Peanut. That's Nando. And this is my guy, Rome. And we will be getting our NBA. This is the NFL Players Second Acts Podcast.
I love my gray hair.
We out.